Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this meeting of the Deep Creek Watershed Board of Zoning Appeals for the 19th day of September 2024. At this time, we request that you please turn off all your cellular devices. It's 3 o'clock, so I'll call this meeting to order. We have a quorum, so we'll be able to begin. I am your board chairman, Bruce Swift. To my left is board members Steve Nagy and Bob Hoffman, and closing the door there is zoning administrator Bruce Metz. We are your Deep Creek Watershed Board of Zoning Appeals. We are appointed by the county commissioners and serve at their pleasure. The purpose of this board is to provide competent interpretation and full equitable application of the Deep Creek Watershed zoning ordinance. Gentlemen, you should have received copies of the minutes of last month's meeting. I trust you've reviewed them, and if you have no additions or corrections, I'll ask for a motion to approve as written.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
So moved. This is a quasi-judicial proceeding. All board decisions are based on the provisions outlined in the zoning ordinance. We have two different types of cases this afternoon. This afternoon we only have one type of case, and it's a special exception. And this board hears several different kinds of cases, variances and special exceptions. It should be noted that in the case of a special exception, which we have here today, we are basically directed that a special exception is an allowed use in this ordinance. And unless we receive testimony that leads us to believe that it's worse here than anywhere else in the ordinance, we're compelled to approve the special exception and move it on. If you are a concerned neighbor, somebody in this case has an interest, I would urge you to use this time to advise us how we can help you with this special exception moving forward. In other words, is there some conditions that we can apply to it to maybe help you and help the neighborhood a little bit? But please understand, if it's, all things considered, it's probably going to pass today. So I just wanted to put that out to you. Any persons that are intending to offer testimony will be sworn in today. While the board will make every effort to come to a final decision this afternoon, the board has up to 10 days to render its decision if needed. Decisions by this board can be appealed to the Circuit Court of Garrett County for a period of 30 days from the date of the board's decision. For the benefit of those in attendance as well as those watching online, we request that you step up to the microphone when you're presenting testimony. At this point, we will read your application into the minutes. The first case is Special Exception 509, Cheryl DiPrato, pursuant to Section 157.024 B16 of the Deep Creek Watershed Zoning Board Ordinance. Bed and breakfast inns require a special exception granted by the Board of Appeals in accordance with Section 157.166. Notice was sent out to all the property owners. Do we have somebody that is going to present this today to the board?
We have some letters.
You have some letters?
Yeah.
Okay.
First of all, the property is located at 29 Glen Meadow Road, tax map 59, parcel 309, lot 25, and is zoned like residential. I have a correspondence from, I believe, the Glenfield Board of Directors, Barry Savage, stating it was a letter written to Mrs. Del Prado. On behalf of the Glenfield Board of Directors, this letter is to inform you of a violation of the Glenfield Declaration and Bylaws. As stated in your initial Architectural Review Committee approval, a separate family living space is not allowed. Also, a letter was sent out in June restating this information. Finishing and renting out the first level in your house constitutes a multifamily dwelling. Section 13-.R only allows a single family dwelling. The rental listing on Airbnb and any other sites needs to be removed, and any rental of this space discontinued within 15 days of the notification per Article 9 of the Glenfield bylaws. if the listing is not removed and rental is not terminated by August 31st, you'll be fined $250 a day. If, if these fines are levied and not paid, the association will take legal action. And that's respectfully from Barry Savage on behalf of the Glenfield Board of Directors.
To be clear, our board today is to hear only zoning board of appeals matters. We have no sway over any kind of homeowners association, or even once we make our decision, were we to decide pass it here, you still have whatever other government regulations you have to comply to. We have no say over anything like that. So, any other thing?
No, I think his intent, based on our conversation, was to show that the property had been renting before gaining approval.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Who would like to present in this case? Can you step up to the microphone, please? State your name and address for the record, please.
Cheryl Del Prado, 29 Glen Meadow Road, Swanton, Maryland, 21561.
Do you swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to present to the Deep Creek Watershed Board of Zoning Appeals is the truth? If so, answer I do.
I do.
Please proceed.
My intentions are to use the downstairs space as a 1-bedroom and bathroom for a bed and breakfast. The bedroom consists of 2 queen-size beds. A total of would accommodate a total of 4 people. I intend to comply with any zoning ordinance requirement. This space has a private entrance, 1 glass sliding door. As I showed you in the, I also presented some sketches of where exits are and so on. The house is owner occupied. The guest room will be provided for compensation as overnight accommodation for transient visitors. It will not be used as a residence, hotel, motel, or room and lodging house. It is just to substitute the retirement small income for me.
Is that it? Okay, gentlemen, any questions for Mr. Prado? Bob?
Yeah, I'm thinking, Mr. Chairman. How do you intend, ma'am, to accommodate vehicles? In other words, traffic to your location?
I have a large enough driveway that I could accommodate quite a few vehicles, so they can park in the driveway, and I mean, this would only be 1 or 2 vehicles at the most, and I could accommodate like probably 20 if I had to.
Okay.
But anyhow, I do have a large.
And do you intend to, you realize that there are county ordinances with regards to any outdoor lighting and sound and that sort of thing?
Yes.
And you will comply with those, of course?
Absolutely.
Okay. And when I was out there today, I was struck by the fact that there's the rear of your, what I would say the rear of your home, although it may be considered a side because you're in a corner lot, I'm not sure. But for the purposes of the board, the rear, the opposite of where the front door is, seems like it's pretty open there between your backyard and your neighbor. And so I'm wondering, and this is something that I'd like the board to consider, suggesting or mandating that some screening of some sort be put there in the way of trees, vegetation, to try and provide some privacy, because you're going to be having folks come to your house that are not family, presumably, and I know that the entrance to that bedroom is on the side, and you have outside space that presumably they can use that's towards the rear of the house, right there underneath your deck.
So you want me to plant some trees? Is that what you're saying?
I want to discuss that with the board, and that will be here today. We'll discuss that today. But that's what I would like the board to consider, to provide some screening and privacy between your home and that neighbor, the gentleman that, and
I can't see it as a problem.
I understand. Okay, I'm good. She's gonna comply with the existing county ordinances. Do you have, in your garage, it's a 2-car garage, do you have 1 car in there or 2?
One.
Just 1. But the other, I think you told me today, the other, the garage will not be used by anybody that's renting.
I have a boat that I'll store there.
I see. Sure, okay. Okay, that's all I have right now, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you. You can step down. Anybody else to speak in favor of this application? Please stand up. State your name and address for the record.
Yes, Onat Menzel and 984 Beckman's Peninsula.
Do you swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to present to the Deep Creek Watershed Board of Zoning Appeals is the truth? If so, answer I do.
Yes, I do.
Please proceed.
I've known Cheryl for 30 years. She introduced me to a lot of things at the lake, and she is one of the people that I think has the stellar character, and she just needs a little bit of extra income at this time in her life. And the choice she discussed with me was either to rent this 1 room in her basement or rent her whole house occasionally and move with her daughter or granddaughter just to generate the extra income. And she prefers to rent the 1 room because it's only up to 4 people. But if she were to rent the whole house, it would be like, well, how many, 14 people or something? 14. A lot more traffic, a lot more cars, a lot more partying. So I think as a resident of that neighborhood, I think that's a better recommendation, just to rent it 1 room. Not even a kitchen, not even, maybe just 1 car pulling out to her driveway once in a while. And also I want to say, she always keeps immaculate property. If they want trees or some other shrubbery planted, I think she will take good care of that. And she also doesn't have many visitors, honestly. Once in a while, her grandkids show up. Other than that, there's no partying, there are not many cars, she lives by herself. A fine old retired lady friend. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody to speak against this? How many do we have that's going to speak opposed? Can I just get y'all to stand one time in the interest of time? I'm going to swear y'all in at once. Do you swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to present to the Deep Creek Watershed Board of Zoning Appeals is the truth? If so, answer I do.
I do.
Whoever's first, please step up to the microphone, state your name and address for the record, please.
Linda Murr. 1 second, getting my glasses.
You got there and tell Amanda to put on the windows for a while.
That's nice.
Linda Murr. I live at 47 Glen Meadow Road. I'm president of Glenfield Association. The association was established in '87, and I've had a home there since '91. I just wanted to mention that the public notice sign that was posted was moved within hours of it being posted. So your 14 days notice in section 157, 168 was violated. I am here to represent the board of directors. There are 7 members on the board. 5 of them are here. If you'd like to speak to any of them, they will come and speak. We unanimously oppose this application. We feel that the zoning request is contrary to the public interest and is not suitable or in harmony of our community. We specifically address the effects of such a use upon the peaceful enjoyment of people in their homes, conservation of property values, and the appropriate use of land and structure. Those are specific rules, so Bruce read one, about the multifamily home. We have another part of our declaration that says no commercial use of any kind is permitted. Anywhere you read a bed and breakfast is a commercial use or commercial activity. That's the definition. We've also found in research that it states that any properties close to a bed and breakfast take a lot longer to sell, and it reduces property values. The board wouldn't be doing their appointed job if they didn't oppose this. And I don't know what kind of precedents this will set for bed and breakfasts and associations around the lake. The board's been told by numerous realtors that Glenfield is one of the most sought after communities on the lake, and we work really hard to try and keep it that way. And one last observation that we had on the documents that were submitted was that the lender, it says, is Finance of America Reverse, and we know that HUD regulations state that bed and breakfast establishments are not eligible properties for a reverse mortgage, if that's in fact the case. I thank you for letting me express our position, and I hope you understand that the board is obligated to enforce the Glenfield Declaration. Thank you. You have
Mr.
any
Chairman?
questions?
Yes, ma'am, I do. May I ask, Mr. Chairman?
Absolutely.
Do you, in your HOA, ma'am, are there any other rental homes or TVRUs?
Yes, there are other rentals. It's whole house rentals that are allowed.
Okay, that's allowed under your HOA?
Yes.
I see, okay. Okay, thank you, that's all I have.
Let me, how do you perceive the different impact between a bed and breakfast and a whole house TVRU in your neighborhood? What do you expect the differences to be?
Well, I see bed and breakfast as, somebody that's coming in for a day or two. The whole house rentals are normally a week-long family rental. That's basically the difference I see. It's more like a hotel motel than it is like a weekly rental family.
And that, you feel that's detrimental to the neighborhood because?
Well, it doubles the use and...
Doubles the use over a TVRU application? I'm just trying to understand what your concern is.
Well, I mean, you have more people coming in using our facility.
Different people.
Different people
More
all
different
the time.
people. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
If you'd like to speak next, you'll be offered time to rebut after all the testimony. Please.
Can I make a statement at this minute? I just want to state that somewhere along that last statement, it was stated that the bed and breakfast is typically a commercial use. I want to let you know that in our ordinance, it's actually listed under residential uses. I don't necessarily agree with that, but that's what it is in our book. So I just wanted to let you know that the factual part of that. Okay.
That doesn't make it residential.
Please, sir. Name and address for the record, please.
Yeah. My name is Mike Taylor. I live at 255 Beckman's Peninsula Road in Swanton. I share the property line with lot 25. The back of Cheryl's house faces my side yard, and my main deck is located on my side, directly facing her property. I want to comment on one thing that was questioned to Linda, and that's about what's the difference between a daily rental and a weekly rental.
No, that question was, how did you perceive the difference between a TBR use and a bed and breakfast? She qualified it as a day or a week rental, I did not.
Okay, well, I would qualify it as a day or week rental versus that. And my concern is that, if you look at a weekly rental, you're looking at a substantial output of money. And as Linda indicated, generally it's a family or two families sometimes who are renting, and, it's a big expenditure, and the money is put up front. In the case of a bed and breakfast, you're talking about a person who's coming in for 1 or 2 days, expending a very limited amount of money, maybe in this case, $300-400 for a 2-day rental. And I just think it opens us up more to risk with those transient people coming in and out relative to, again, on what would typically be a family versus a house that's going to house 4 people, which it could be a family, but it's going to be a relatively small family.
Okay.
Okay? So, back to Linda, I fully agree with the points that she's brought up thus far relative to our community and individual property. Echoing the point that she brought up in terms of value, and during research I found a quote from Barbara Nichols, prominent real estate professional and expert witness. She wrote this for the National Association of Realtors, quote, "A single-family home or condo unit next to a short-term rental where the occupants change every few days will take longer to sell and bring in lower offers. You never know who your neighbors could be, and that's a classic situation of property stigma. Clearly living next to a B&B can impact my property's value." So beyond that, I want to thank Bob specifically for bringing up the point of screening, because that's really my main concern. Not my main concern, but a major concern. He's gonna keep right ahead of me. Perfect. So if you look at slide number 1, you'll see that is my deck facing towards Cheryl's property before it was cleared. So that's what, and I will tell you that that's just a sample of what that entire property looked like before she built her house. If you were to click, that is an example of what I was faced with when I returned. At the time, I was only living there for the summer. That's what I saw when I returned in the spring, I think of 2021 or 2022. I'd have to look at the exact date. But you can clearly see there's a clear view of both their property, and I can now see that orange building with the roof is Linda's garage, one of her garages, or her primary garage. And then show number 3, again, similar view. This is looking towards Beckman's Peninsula Road, slightly different angle, and you get a sense of how much, I would say, was removed in order to place a house on that property. Go to the next one. This is looking from lot 25 at the time, approximately where the deck and the lower section were going to be placed. That's the view that existed at that point in time prior to our house being built. If you look at those, I don't know if you call them stumps or logs. They're not really long enough to be logs, and they're not permanent. I placed those there to try and define the property line. At the time, there were these little sticks here, and I was just trying to make sure that the guys with the bulldozers didn't come any further into my property and take down any more of my own vegetation. Yep, this is it today, and this is, again, Bob probably looked from her side, not necessarily my side. This is standing on my deck. You can see it's filled in a little, but those 3 white pines, there's 10 arborvitae there. Those were all added by me. at a cost of probably a little over $2,000 so far, including some of the fencing. Up further towards Beckman's, I've got some forsythia and willows and other white pines, just to try and block some of the light coming from the traffic as you come down the street. Yep. This is, again, just to show how much the property was cleared. This is an example, if you're on the corner of Beckman's and Glen Meadow, that shows there's not a whole lot left. There's a little, I don't know what type of tree it is, it has leaves. There's one there, and in the next picture, I think you'll see it a little bit better. And this is Glen Meadow. There's a tree, I think there's a tree there. And by the way, up until today, that was your public notice sign. And I don't believe that's where you initially put it. This specific, can you show one more, Bruce?
The next one?
I think the next one.
Okay, I have to go to a different email,
Okay,
so hold
I'm
on.
sorry.
Sir, while that's going on, can I ask a
Okay.
question? When was the sign that was placed there by the county removed?
Linda can answer that better than I can. Tom, thanks.
You've not been sworn in, sir. Just.
I have been sworn.
He is-
Oh, you have, I'm sorry. Okay, that's right. you did.
Please, sir, can we just, we'll give you a chance in a second, okay? I know, but let's
Okay.
just address the board here,
Okay,
please.
I don't know specifically. I know I was told by Tom that it was moved probably the Wednesday before I came back for Labor Day weekend, so that would put it, I don't know, 24th, 25th, maybe 26th, somewhere in there,
Okay.
but well before Labor Day. Well before Labor Day.
Thank you.
Okay, did you find that on the
Sorry.
documents? I know, that it's the one, it's the email I sent today. And it'd be the one that says number 9, I think. Oh, that's pretty good.
I don't believe that's the one
You
you
know what?
sent me.
That's okay. When you, no, well, I'm not that good at thinking.
If it's another
There we
picture
go.
of.
Bingo. This was one that Linda shared with me the other day that I didn't have. Again, that was a view on Glen Meadow prior to clearing. That's Linda's mailbox. That's the edge of her property. The rest is gone. So, my comment as you're looking at that picture is this specific property has done nothing to reestablish any visual screening or privacy of both their neighbor and community in general. For which I'm very disappointed.
Understood.
I'll show these and then this is, I didn't even have my points here on this one, but this is just to show you that I took these pictures, these screenshots around the 10th or 11th of September. You can see I put in Glen Meadow, 29 Glen Meadow. They bring up not thousands, but at least 20 or 30. This was the second one listed. That's clearly the house at 29, and it is noted that I was trying to rent it, not really, but I was exploring whether or not I could have rented it prior to this meeting, prior to your approval. If you go to the next one, you can see that I would have had the opportunity to reserve it. It wasn't just the fact that it was up there, but I could have reserved it at the time. And it says it's been hosted, I know it says by Holly, I know they encourage people to use anonymous names. I don't disagree with that, but you can see she's been hosting it for a month. If you go to the next page, she's even already had 2 reviews, one from probably Labor Day weekend, and one from probably 4 weeks before, which would have been prior to her submission of the request. So, I think that's it for my slides. So what I wanted to say was, here are my concerns. The homeowner is ignoring our HOA bylaws regarding commercial use and access of common areas for the customers. If the homeowner has a reverse mortgage, it violates HUD handbook guidelines, which specifically excludes bed and breakfast consideration. The homeowner has violated.
Mr. Taylor, can I just stop you right there? These are not, I appreciate your feelings, but these are just not matters that affect this board. I've let you go on for a while now. If you have anything particularly that pertains to the ordinance, we'd love to hear it, but if not, I'm gonna ask you to move along, please.
Okay, now I'm gonna go to, why is this location worse than any other?
There you
That's
go.
what
There you go.
Bruce asked me to direct. Okay?
Now we're talking.
One, for us, for direct neighbors, myself, Taylor, Moore, and Llewellyn, we're all full-time residents. We really don't see the benefit of a bed and breakfast touching our properties or near our properties. Number two, after 2.5 years of ownership, there remains no visual screening or landscaping improvements along neighboring property lines or Beckman's Peninsula Road. This property has fewer screening trees and shrubs than most properties near the lake. In that regard, it is worse than many other properties that could be considered a bed and breakfast. The petitioner has shown a disregard for the rules of the HOA, the county, and possibly the federal government if they're violating a HUD ruling. We would think a special exemption for a bed and breakfast that has its own set of rules and guidelines would be more than appropriate for a homeowner who has demonstrated a willingness to follow the rules and is currently not located within an HOA. I oppose approval of the special exemption and would hope that you find my concerns relevant and ask that you deny the exemption. I do have one other comment. If you folks decide you're going to approve this, I would strongly urge something be done relative to visual screening before she's allowed to have any more renters. And I would ask that it be satisfactory in terms of her showing, I don't want to see a 2-foot pine and be told, well, I'm working on it. She's had 2.5 years to work on it, and she hasn't. So, any questions?
Thank you for your testimony.
Hi, my name is Thomas Murray. I live at 47 Glen Meadow Road, next door to lot 55. I'll summarize a lot of what I'm going to say based on some of your comments. But one of the reasons my wife and I bought the property and built our house in 1991 was the residential nature, was the HOA and all of its requirements. Having lived in the past in communities without those requirements, I can see what can happen and how it affects not only the aesthetics of the neighborhood, but the property values of the neighborhood. And that's one of the major appeals we had in selecting Glenfield, was sort of the residential seclusion, but yet quick access to 219 and 68. So I think that is relevant. At least it was very relevant in our decision. Just summarizing some of it. I mean, to me, I mean, I understand the zoning commission definition of business. Every English dictionary I've looked in defines it kind of in simple terms as the definition of an exchange of goods or services for compensation. It's a business, and I think that's the way we've looked at it from the very beginning, since the late 80s when the declaration was first put in place. Going to the point of really how it affects the neighborhood and public interest, I've found numerous reports and studies that show that transient rentals, such as a B&B, can cause increases in noise, litter, traffic, and crime. And this crime in these studies has gone all the way from trespassing to vandalism, even breaking and entering. There's a very distinct difference in the transient nature of this kind of rental from, as I think Mr. Schiller was pointing out, people who come with their family for a week. That's permitted. Those people, we talk to them all the time at the docks, and they're, you know, it's just a different nature, a different kind of clientele. And I think that is a counter to the public interest to allow that in a residential neighborhood. It doesn't have any place there. It brings no benefit to the public. It brings a detriment. And also, to Mike's point, I've also seen the studies about lowering property values, and there are many of those, and lengthening the selling time of houses. So it has a negative impact on the public interest and my own interest. But I am part of the public, and I think there's an obligation to protect the public interest in general and maintain some of the residential neighborhoods around the lake. I mean, I retired here 19 years ago for many of those very reasons. It's important. It's part of what attracts people like me and others on the board who are retirees here. We come for that residential family feel, not a transient rental next to us. Anyway, I profoundly oppose this waiver, and thanks for hearing me out.
Thank you. Anybody else like to testify?
Can I make one other question, statement?
Just go ahead, one more, that's fine. Go ahead.
Yeah, if you saw the pictures of the driveway in my listing, you'll see it's a two-car garage with a long gravel driveway straight back. If she's keeping her car in one side of the garage, for her to get in and out, they have to leave one side of the driveway partially open.
Okay.
And then, you do that.
Okay, I understand. Again, just to be clear, I know it's a passionate topic for you folks, and I appreciate that, and I do. This board is here to interpret the zoning regulations as they're written. We can't rewrite them. And as I said before, this is a permitted use in this zoning area. So I just want you to know we appreciate and we know it's important to you, and we're here, we're listening, and we appreciate that. Ma'am, you want to rebut anything you've heard? Please stand up to the mic. You're still sworn in.
I mean, I have several things that I could say, but I don't want to take up extra time, like you said, that doesn't pertain to these.
Correct.
To this
Thank
issue.
you.
Couple of quick things though, that on this road where I live, there is a whole house rental, and also there is a person that has been renting part of her house on and off over several years. So nothing was ever addressed, and anything that I went going through this, if I did anything that was against you, I didn't know any of this stuff. This is the first time that I decided to find a way to substitute retirement. So if I did anything, I apologize. It was unintentional. If I moved the sign because I had to have the grass cut and they told me to move the sign, I couldn't dig there. It's hard clay there. I couldn't dig there. So I moved it where there was topsoil and easy to put into. So I apologize for that too. But as far as the MERS impacting anything, she has gone against the bylaws. She has.
Okay, ma'am, we can't hear
No.
that kind of
Okay,
stuff. It's not for us, please.
Okay, but there are things that they're saying that not are entirely true.
Anything you have to tell me that pertains to our ordinance?
That's right.
Anything at
No.
all you'd like to say? Okay.
Yes, I'll just, other than there are other.
Again, not for our board. Thank you. Okay. If there's no other testimony, we're going to close the public portion of that special exception. Agreed? And move on to our next special exception. You folks from this case are welcome to stay. We're going to rule on these both at the end of the meeting. Okay.
Okay. Second case today is SC 510, Special Exception 510, application submitted by Americo Real Estate Company in care of U-Haul Moving and Storage for a special exception to allow truck and trailer rentals at the property located at the intersection of Garrett Highway and Glendale Road, tax map 58, parcel 424, grid 16, and this is zone town center, which is for business uses. And Mr. Lucas Gardner, I believe, is here to speak on behalf.
You swear and affirm the testimony you're about to present to the Deep Creek Watershed Board of Zoning Appeals is the truth? If so, answer I do. Name and address for the record, please.
My name is Lucas Gardner. My address is in West Virginia. I'm with Civil Environmental Consultants, who is a civil engineer helping with the development.
Say that again, you're with the
Civil and Environmental Consultants.
That's the name of the company?
Yes.
Okay. Please proceed.
Yes, as I mentioned, I'm a civil engineer who's worked with both the developer and the owner up to this point on the project. So I'm here on behalf of Americo U-Haul for the proposed development at Glendale Road. My involvement has been preparing a site plan which shows how the proposed development may be situated on the site. It's somewhat preliminary at this point, but U-Haul or Americo has included that site plan in the application submission that they have provided to you. That application submission is pretty thorough and it explains a lot about the proposed development, the proposed business. So the basics of the facility are that it is a self-storage and U-Haul truck rental facility. It's a multi-story building. The property is currently zoned Town Center District. Storage is a permitted use. The truck storage, truck rental would require a special exception. So the storage portion of the facility would be permitted under the ordinance as I understand it now, and the truck rental would require a special exception. So that is what the application is here for. If there's more information that I can give you on the site situated or the proposed facility itself, I can answer some of those questions. Maybe just at a high level, the proposed number of parking spaces for the trucks is 8 or 9 spaces as the site plan stands now. So that's some high level information for you. Are there any specific questions or more information that I can give you from there?
Gentlemen?
No, sir.
Good. Think we're good? You got anything, Steve? Good. Please give us a second here. Anybody else to speak in favor of the application? Anybody speak opposed? All right, that's kind of like. We'll close that special exception. Let me clean up a couple of these things before we go into deliberation. We had some action on some docketed cases from last month. VR variance 840 was withdrawn. Variance 842 was approved. Special exception 508 to Cove Creek Lodge was approved. So that's that. So, okay, let's talk about our first one.
I think the first thing we need to express for everybody here that's listening, pro and con, on it, this is just the first step. This doesn't mean it happens. There's a whole lot that goes on after this. An example of sprinkler systems. I don't know how the house has sprinkler systems or not, but it has to come up to code. That all gets involved and gets signed off too. On there. So just be aware this is just the first step. Just because we say yes today doesn't mean it happens. All right? Okay.
Yeah, I would like to address the idea of screening for one, and it's we don't have the picture up, but it's behind where in that package it spoke to behind the house. So that's on the property line between the applicant's house and the gentleman right there in the center. Mm-hmm. And I think I'd like to specify, something that is reasonably quick in growing and at a reasonable, and we'll have to define what reasonable is, obviously, but a reasonable height to start with. So we're not looking at like something that's out there in 42. Mm-hmm. Because I think there is an impact on privacy, and when you're adding people to that home, then there's going to be a greater concern about privacy for the neighbor. I think the applicant is aware, says she's aware of the county ordinance with regarding the lighting and sound outside. We wouldn't be concerned about that if there was nobody who was coming in from the outside that may not be familiar with the county ordinances. But there is. I'm not sure about the parking situation. You know, if there's
The
no,
county's gonna address that though, the TVRU portion of it, they address that, they make sure it's got
She has to put a site
appropriate amount of
plan in
parking.
that shows all that. If she has to put in more parking, she'll have to put more parking in before it's approved.
Yeah, she'll have to show parking plan on.
Well, does she have
But there's a whole lot of other steps that gets involved after this, and she has to put in.
No,
It does not.
that's a different license. She'll have to have a business license and she'll have to get accommodations tax, registration. She'll have to pay her back, accommodations taxes that, from these prior rentals. She will have to provide parking that is out of the way, that, it cannot block the garage doors.
So there is something that'll dictate her parking.
Yes,
It's not TVRU, but it is something.
yes.
Okay, so all that will be addressed. So,
okay, that's good. Yeah.
I think the thing is what you're saying is screening. We got to come up with a reasonable height.
Yes.
Now, like number like 5 foot or something
Sure.
like that of screening that has to be in place around the property sides.
Right.
On there.
Yeah.
Of course, we have our standard ordinances for the noise, lights,
Yep.
stuff like that needs to be
Exactly.
put in place
Yes.
on it, on our part.
Yes.
Like I said, she has a lot of other things that she's going to have to go through and get approved before
Yeah.
anything else happens.
I would say we have to, I'm okay with the screening part of it, I understand that. I just think we probably need to put in there, I don't think we can mandate anything goes against their, I think it should say, we expect it to have screening 5 foot tall, 4 foot on the center, 5 foot on the center. As long as it's in compliance with their HOA document, I wouldn't want us to say, hey, you had to put up a 6 foot fence and the HOA document say no fences, you know what I mean?
Right.
Something-
But see, we come in here, and if we approve this, then the HOA kicks in after that.
Oh, I know, I get it.
Yeah, so that HOA is gonna step in with whatever they've all have approved
Mhm.
or disapproved, will kick in after the fact.
Oh, I understand that.
I think the biggest thing we do is we approve or disapprove is the screening part. And of course, we have the lighting part and the sound part and stuff like that, we do normally all of them on there.
Well, as it always does, it comes down in my mind to, is it worse in this location than anywhere else in the LR1 district? And I can't say that it is.
No.
I understand their concern, but I can't say that it's worse here than anywhere else, so.
I do think if there's a way that we can, at least with regards to we only represent the county, we don't represent the state, we don't represent the HOA, but to make sure that the applicant understands that what it is that the county is saying needs to be followed, because the movement of the sign was probably, may have been a mistake, but as Bruce and I talked about this, the other Bruce, when we went out there today, it cuts down the amount of time that the neighbors conceivably know what's going to happen. The other part is, if I understand this correctly, this house, this space in this house has been already advertised for rent.
That can't happen.
And that's ignoring the whole purpose of coming before this board. And I think that point needs to be made in the response to the applicant as well. Following the county regulations is important.
It is important, and if we put that in there, that I think also be noted that, she should be commended for coming forward and trying to do it right. Maybe she made a mistake, we don't know, but
Right.
at least at this point, she's come and tried to do it the right way. And I think that deserves some.
Yeah, she's doing it the right way, and she cannot do anything or rent it until the whole process is completed.
Correct.
On there, and like I said, the biggest thing for us, and I know it's gonna be sprinkler system.
Yeah.
That's a major
It's
job.
a pretty massive priority,
Huh?
it's a pretty house, I think.
But
Do I have a motion in for
This
the?
house is fairly new, it's been sprinkled, I believe.
Yeah, there's a sprinkler system, and also I
But-
did pay that.
But you changing over to a rental unit changes that whole guideline on the
It
sprinkler
may,
system.
yes, it may.
There's a whole lot more involved than just being a residential sprinkler system. You're now into a commercial type sprinkler system. So like I said, when they do it, when you go through to get the rest of your permitting, while you're permitting, it will be through the fire marshal. And he's going to designate what you have to do to bring your house up to code for a rental unit. You're gonna have like exit signs, fire extinguishers, all kind of house plan, how do you get out of the house? A whole lot of things get involved. It's a little bit different than a residential sprinkler system if you already have one.
Again, this board can't speak to that though, but.
No, we
anyway,
can't, I'm just.
Can I get a motion from the board?
Motion to approve,
I'll second the
condition?
motion.
with conditions.
Conditions, so
With conditions, yeah.
with unanimous then?
Yeah.
What's our conditions? Screening on,
Yes,
The-
screening between.
Screening and our normal
doors.
lighting, sound
the-
provisions that we put in there.
okay, for TVR use?
Yes,
Mm-hmm,
for TVR use,
okay.
Inward, downward lighting.
downward lighting, yes.
All right.
If you can just draw something on there about what you're looking for that screening,
Okay,
please.
let's talk about special exception 510, U-Haul operation. Did we put any restrictions on lights and stuff for the rural farms up there? It's the same
It's
project.
gonna be the same stuff there, it's gonna be downward lighting, which I'm assuming that's what they're gonna have anyhow. Most
Is that-
of them all
is that-
do.
And I,
Yeah, downward, inward, hours of operation may be something you wanna hear about.
they included, that was
They
included in
included that on
the, in the
It was,
application.
okay.
And if I'm not mistaken, it made mention that there was not going to be an outside paging system, i.e., sound outside.
I see no problem whatsoever with this one, guys, it's the right place for it.
Motion to approve. We already did that. No, we didn't. Motion to approve.
Okay. No conditions,
No, I think they got it.
special exception 510 is approved as well, thank you.
Thank you.
You wanna get us, we turned off?
Yeah. We're still live right now, folks, so please, sir, don't talk to the board. We're still live. You can sit and. Sorry. Please, one moment, please.
Very good.